Today on the Wise Practice podcast, we have got Zack Ufland, who is practice owner, consultant, and leader who's passionate about helping therapists build sustainable, thriving practices. After he transitioned out of another group practice, Zack successfully started a private pay practice, Paradigm Therapy, in Raleigh, North Carolina, and he later expanded that into a group practice alongside his wife. He's known for his focus on creating strong systems, healthy boundaries, and a positive team culture that actually supports therapists and clients. So today, Zach helps practice owners grow with intentionality so their business can support their life, the one they truly want. And he also serves as one of the consultants at Wise Practice Consulting. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me. And just as an aside, you said Raleigh correctly that time.
Oh, thank you. My great accent makes for fun ways that I say Riley.
Yeah, some people
Uh,
around here can't even say it correctly, so be doing great.
Oh, great. Let's get to know you a little bit before we kind of talk about the work that you do with practice owners and kind of talk about your journey of leaving an agency. Tell us a little bit. So you have a practice with your wife. I think people find that really interesting.
Yeah. We actually, when I left the private practice I was currently at, it technically wasn't an agency, but it was as big as an agency. My wife had her own private practice, and I had my own private practice. And so we were able to kind of see what it was like working together without diving fully in. And of course, like with every couple working through something difficult like starting businesses, we had to learn how to grow together, and we found out we work great together. So we decided that starting and managing two practices was insane. So we merged them, and we're continuing to grow things.
That's great. Now you have littles.
Very young littles. We have a 3.5-year-old. She may not be, I can't remember if she's 3.5. She's definitely three. And then we have a almost 3-month old. So brand new family with our two girls, and it is crazy and exhausting, but manageable somehow by God's grace.
That's right. That's right. Okay. So talk about you worked at another group practice for a while, it sounds like, before you decided to start your own. Can you talk about how long you worked there, where you were working? Did you get your license when you were there? What was that like?
Yeah, it should be acknowledged that I always felt like I was called to start a group practice. There was a component of therapy that I loved, so I wanted to find a place I could grow in and really learn the business side of things, but I loved the integration of clinical work and business. So when I was in grad school, I remember telling my colleagues, I'm going to start a group practice one day. Not tomorrow, but one day. So it was always part of the mission. But yeah, I found I was truly blessed with another practice here in Raleigh that really just focused on helping me to develop. And I found that I really loved working with couples. So I was able to dip my toes in the water of helping to develop a couples program, got a taste of the business side, became fully licensed there. And then over time felt like I was being called to start a group practice. And it was around the same time that we started having kids too. So that was kind of led to us making that change as well.
Yeah. So how did you know when it was time to actually leave the other practice?
That's a great question. That is a great question. It was a couple years ago, so I'm trying to remember because so much can happen and you just keep fighting to continue to grow and be sustainable. But if I remember correctly, we were at an intersection where I just didn't feel like I could truly grow into where I wanted to be. And it was at the same time that my daughter had just turned, she wasn't even a year old yet. And we knew that how our life looked was not sustainable and it wasn't exciting. So Amanda made the jump first because she was working at a local university here. She's also a marriage and family therapist. You know that. And we truly launched with God's grace and some wisdom and some healthy acceptance of some risk, and felt like it was time. And like I said, I'd always wanted to do it. It was all about timing, and I felt like I had enough contacts and people and the drive to be able to make it work. And then
Mm.
I did a lot of praying.
Sure. Yeah. So, as you kind of are going into it a little bit there, what are the things, if somebody's listening now thinking about leaving an agency or maybe another group practice, they're not really
Mhm.
sure about the timing or is there a right timing? Could you
Yeah.
kind of go into how do you know if it's for you, private practice?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's different for everybody. I think that at the very core, you have to make sure you know why you're leaving and you're leaving for the right reasons. If you are leaving the group practice just because you're upset, that there's no purpose or value in that. It's just I need to get out. And that's okay if you need to get out, great. But that getting out doesn't always mean starting your own practice. Um, and like I said, it's all about taking calculated risk. And the emphasis there is that there's always risk involved. It's just
Mhm.
calculated. Um, so for me, I felt like I had this drive and this purpose. I One of the things that I'm extremely passionate about is providing really good specialized care, but also this is my business side of me. I want to provide an experience for people. And I love the idea of managing others. And Amanda, my wife, and I just felt like we could do that really well. Now, whether that was naive or not, we'll see. But so far, so good. And so, we were just excited about the idea of growing something that's stable that other people can depend on. And so, I guess I would say when I was really considering, when both of us were considering, can we make this work? The first was, okay, why are we doing this? And can that purpose sustain us? And we felt like it could. We felt like God was calling us in this direction for the reasons stated. The second was in analyzing the calculated risk is I asked the simple question, how long could I go financially speaking? What is my financial safety net? How long could I go without seeing a single client to where I would have to say, this isn't working. We have to change. And did I feel like I was confident enough in my ability and in my contacts in my area to be able to get a job right away if this totally failed?
Yeah.
That's how I thought about my safety net. And I did a lot of work over the course of my career to build those connections with the practice owners, have integrity, initiative, and I felt very confident in the relationships I built. So that was part of the safety net. Once I figured out, okay, how long can I go? Then we started saving that money and we kind of put it in a fund. That's our cushion. So that if this is a huge success, that's great. If it's doesn't go as well as we thought, that's okay. We got some cushion. And if we totally fall flat on our face, which we didn't anticipate, and we didn't, we would be okay for a little bit, and we wouldn't have to worry. Because
Mm.
remember, this is something that I'm constantly analyzing in myself. Fear doesn't lead to very good decision making, and so we wanted to remove as much fear and produce as much stability as possible. So that was really, once we kind of got those things in place, we analyzed our gifts, said, okay, can we do this? I think we can. Do we have the cushion to go a couple months with not a single client? And if we fall flat on our face, do we trust the context we have to get a job quickly? Because I remember when we did this, my daughter was only like 4 months old. And so there's a lot riding on this calculated risk.
Certainly. Yeah, those all those things make a lot of sense. So if somebody, has some cushion, couple of months, if they fall on their face, they'll be okay. How do they actually go about putting in their resignation and actually leaving?
Yeah, well, I think that there's a couple steps prior to that moment. And
Okay.
I think that first you have to get a plan together because knowledge is power. And you have to figure out how can you leave in a way that honors your obligations,
Hmm.
honors the contracts that you've signed, and to the best of your ability does not burn a bridge. So, where does that start? I would first read your contract. A lot of us did not read what we signed. Now there's some, things shifting in law right now about non-competes, but you need to read them, right? Go back and read, what did you sign and what does it say? If you have questions about what is enforceable or what is not, that's when, if you need to consult the lawyer, I would. And there was things that I did consult a lawyer with, just to make sure all my T's were crossed, my I's were dotted, because I didn't want to be trying to start a group practice. And then, like, some people I know were also getting sued because they didn't go through these steps. Okay,
Yikes.
which is terrible position to be in. And you want to honor the people that you worked in their practice, whether they were great bosses or terrible bosses. I think you should honor them. And so you want to figure out, what is the obligation and what can you do and what can't you do. Okay. Ideally, this is in an ideal sense, you would be able to, at the same time that things are winding down at your current practice, you'd be able to overlap and start to build your practice. Now, build your practice doesn't necessarily mean seeing clients unless your current practice totally signs off on that. That would be pretty rare. I don't see a lot of practices saying, yeah, go ahead and build your own practice, but some do. At the very least, though, you want to have them butt up right against one another, so that for your sake, for any client's sake that will follow you, the transition is seamless. You want it to be easy to find you. If it is not easy to find you, you're losing money instantly. So what does that look like? That is, okay, if you're allowed, right? You want to have your LLC set up. You want to have your website ready to go. You want to have your Psychology Today ready to go. You want to have potentially a place set up, or online, preferably a place. EHR paperwork ready to go. We had it so fine-tuned that I stopped working at the previous practice on a Friday, and I started on a Monday at the new practice,
Whoa.
because I
Was
didn't
it
want there to be.
stressful?
It was stressful, but it felt secure. That's part of that calculated risk. It's like, okay, I did not want there to be any stress on the clients that wanted to follow me. I wanted it to be business as usual. Oh, all we're doing is going to a different place. I should have felt a little bit of different paperwork. But a lot can happen in a 2-week gap, in my opinion. Some people like to take those gaps and kind of setting things up. I wanted it to be seamless. Because remember, I had a lot depending on this. New family, a lot of pressure. I needed it to work. So that was one easy way that I felt like I could make that happen.
Yeah. Well, you listed out a lot of things that somebody would have to do to start. Did it feel like a lot of things?
I viewed it a little bit differently. I truly believe this, that therapy, like, when I think about other professions starting their business, doctor's office, dental office, construction, whatever it is, the startup costs are insane. So I view my profession and starting a group practice as such an easy entry point. I've worked with dentists, I've worked with lawyers, I've worked with doctors who started their own gig, and thousands of upfront money. They've got to get the equipment, so much money. So I viewed it as, I barely need anything to get started. I need a website, EHR, office space. I'm the equipment, right? I'm the person doing the work. Some nice furniture, paperwork, you're ready to
That's
go.
funny. I'm laughing because my furniture, when I set up in Savannah, I got it from the Junior Service League thrift store. And I like ran in right when it opened and like found the best sofa I could find. And it's not very nice at all. So, I set it up with whatever furniture I could get. In fact, the chair I have here in my office now is still a hand-me-down from somebody. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be something, but something works.
Yeah, I don't want to downplay the difficulty of starting a practice, but in relation to other professions, I think we couldn't have it better.
Yeah. Well, and we have a checklist with Wise Practice that I can throw in the notes so that people can grab the like logistical aspects of it.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, how many clients were you seeing at your other agency work, like or the practice you're at,
Yeah.
how many a week? And then when you started your own, how many a week did you have?
It's a little bit more complex. I think I have a very unique story because I started out insurance based at the previous practice, and because I specialized so much in couples, they actually took me out of insurance. And so I was private pay for a while. And so I was seeing somewhere between somewhere I think around 25, probably 25 to 30 a week, 25 to 30 sessions. And what really helped and why my situation is unique is because it's not that people were paying a copay, like a $20 or a $0 copay, and then I'm moving on. They can transition to someone else in the practice. They had invested thousands of dollars into their work with me. And if they had invested thousands, they'd invested time and energy and emotional energy. You know, I specialize in a lot of difficult crisis level couples. They wanted to stay and they felt like we have autonomy as clients. We are not going to restart. We're too far along the journey to just start over. Now,
Totally.
what I did was I felt really called to do my best to honor the obligation that I had in the paperwork I signed. But because I was private pay already, a lot of people did follow their own autonomy. I didn't pull them, I didn't message them. They found me on their own. I think I think what I knew early on was that the best way to market is to be the best therapist I could be and to provide as much value as I could from start to finish, be excellent everything I'm doing, and even more so. And that led to a good safety net, and it led to people wanting to continue.
Yeah. Great. So your dream was to start a group practice. And
Mhm.
how long did you have your solo practice before you started a group?
I think it's really weird. I think with both my daughter's births and time, I can't fully remember, which sounds kind of funny. Just time is going so fast, but probably I think it was about a year and a half of consistently being full. And that was tough. I remember there were some weeks where I thought, okay, I'm getting some clients, but I didn't get a single call this week. And I have a philosophy of I'm going to make this work. Not I'm nervous it's going to not work. I'm going to make it work. And so I would reach out to every single contact I had. I would reach out to any clients that I felt like I hadn't talked to in a while, and we would make it work. My saying was, if I want this so bad that if I have to run pizzas, I will run pizzas to make this work.
Yeah. I think there's something important to be said. And as I've worked with practice owners over the years, you can start to tell early on who's got it and who doesn't. Like, it's not for everybody. Running a business is not for the faint of heart. It's challenging.
Mhm.
But I think you're pointing out the importance of determination. Like, if you
Absolutely.
really want something bad enough, you're going to do whatever you have to do to make that thing happen. And I don't think people private practice sounds good. Yeah, it sounds like a fun thing to do. That's what people talk about, but it's certainly not for everybody. And you got to really want it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why it goes back to the purpose. Your purpose and determination will be the fuel to the car.
Yeah.
And if that you got bad fuel, the car is only going to get you so far.
Yeah. I mean, I know for me, a big part of it was I had the security of my spouse. You know, you and your wife were both in practice, so that's got to be
Mhm.
extra challenging. But like talking about calculated risk, like I said to myself, okay, this is what my husband's salary is. This is the amount of money I have to start a practice. And once that's gone, if I'm not sustaining enough in the practice to meet my need, to at least meet the expenses of the practice, I'm gonna have to shut this thing down. Yeah, but I had that security of, okay, he's making this. If we have to eat ramen, it's going to be fine. Like, we don't have to have everything. And then I was able to kind of grow from there.
Yeah. Do you feel like I don't actually see this as much anymore, but I noticed there was a trend however many years ago where I think people were partnering with other therapists to start practices. And then somewhere along the road, they would break off and one person would continue to move the practice down the road. Do you see that as much anymore of people partnering up to start a group practice?
I certainly see partnerships in group practices. I see more like like a collab, where
Got
you're
it.
kind of sharing space, you're referring clients back and forth. You might all be on the same website, but you each have your own LLC. And then as you grow, you kind of go on your own. That's more of what I've seen. That's actually what I first did when I left my agency was we all went and started a practice a week later as a collective.
Yeah. And what made me think about that is going back to the what is what emotion is driving. Is it value based or is it fear based? I always kind of come back to that question. I should say, is it value and data driven or is it fear driven?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, one thing I appreciate about this conversation about you is that you know the components of starting a private practice, but you speak to things much deeper than that. You know, that it's about your values, it's about who you are, and it's about the faith integration piece. I mean, was that a part of you starting your practice?
Absolutely. I mean, I truly do not believe that I could have taken, even though it was a good calculated risk, the risk if I did not trust that we would be okay no matter what. I truly believe that we would be okay no matter what. Even if it totally failed, it wasn't what the Lord had for me, even if I fought for it, and we would figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's tough. That's tough to get there. But here's another thing that I would mention. One of our values here at Paradigm is humility. And I think there is a difference between the determination that I highlighted, like my own determination, like I'll run pizzas to make this work, but also the difference between that and blind determination, where you're just saying, I can do this and I don't need anyone and I'm going to just make it work. It wasn't that. It was, there are so many people who have done this. I have the engine, but I have a lot of blind spots. I recognized early on, I can do this. The Lord's gonna protect us, and I have no idea what I'm doing. And so that really led me honestly to find wise practice and to say, if I can learn from other people's mistakes, I'm gonna be that much wiser and make better decisions. So that's honestly it's the prayer and leaning on the community God provided to help get me on a path that was sustainable and healthy for the
Yeah.
business.
It's great. And now you do consulting.
Now I do consulting. I've learned so much because I was like a sponge early on. And so now you know what makes me most excited about consulting? And you had just mentioned this, the idea of like going deeper. When I did my own consulting, I recognized just how important the role a consultant plays in offering emotional support. To say, I mean, how many times have I messaged you and said, something happened. I have no idea what I'm doing. This is just, I'm nervous this is going to fail. And for you to say, no, what you're experiencing is actually a very normal season in a business owner's life. And hang on. What does the data say? What's your next step? And now I'm shifting from emotion based decisions to, like we talked about, data driven decisions. So then it motivates me as a consultant to say, we all know, those of us who started group practice, what it's like to be in that setting, to take that calculated risk, to truly jump. It's scary. And no matter how secure you feel, there's always going to be that doubt. And to have that community to say, I've been here before. I know what you're experiencing. Here are your blind spots. And I'm going to be here with you every step of the way.
So, Zach, I just have to point this out on the podcast because you made one of my bucket list dream items in my life come true. Do you know what? Well, I'm not going to say, do you know what that is? Because something weird could be said. Um, but I got to hire somebody at a karaoke night. That's like my dream.
That is true. At the Wise Practice Summit, after Amanda, because I'm not a big karaoke guy. Amanda definitely is. She's the life of the party. Right after she belted a great Queen song, the pitch, the offer was given right there, right in the middle of the karaoke bar.
Yeah. So I'm very proud of that. So yeah, we'll always have that good memory to go back to when you remember getting hired. You were like, "What?"
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, and I've been thankful ever since. It truly is a being a consultant was never on my bingo card, but it truly is a gift to walk alongside people and offer additional insight, practical support, but also emotional support to say, you can do this, keep moving.
Yeah. Yeah, and something about wise practice that I find particularly special is that we integrate faith. Like we're not just saying, here's how you run your business. We're saying, I'm doing it with you. I'm praying for you,
Yep.
listening to the Lord and what the Lord might have for you, for me, for wise practice. And it's a really special thing. So tell me if somebody's wanting to get some business consulting, what is your like ideal practice center that you work with and how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah. My ideal practice consultant is one who is in the stage that we talked about in an agency or a large group practice and wanting to make the jump, helping them make that jump, how to go from a very new solo practice to becoming more advanced and more stable, or to starting a small group practice. That is where I thrive, where my experience lies. And if you want to start consulting, I would do it sooner rather than later, right? Because time is money. Do it now. Do not wait. Wisepracticeconsulting.com. Fill out the form. We will jump on a call. And I would love to meet you. I really do mean that. I'd love to meet you. I'd love to figure out how, at the very least, I can offer support, even if it's just with that phone call. But obviously, with the goal of supporting you long term. So, it's huge, huge passion of mine that I hadn't intended the Lord to lead me to, but I'm here now, and I'm excited to continue to grow into it.
It's great. Thank you for all your tips and tricks today. And I know people will be reaching out for some consulting. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Whitney.